let's see here. I think we are good to go. Just making sure everybody pops in here like they're supposed to. And it looks like we're good there. And we're back. We are back. Encoder issue. We had a crash of the live, but we are back. We are back. So nobody fear. We are back. Let me just test this, make sure this is good. We are good. We are good, I think. Yeah, we are good. Gotta love technical difficulties. Thank you guys for coming back. I appreciate you for coming back. I know it's a trying time when it comes down to technology not doing what it's supposed to do. But we are back and we are good to go. All right. Like I said, we're going to jump right into it and we are going to keep trucking regardless of all the hiccups and the craziness that goes on. We're going to keep it going. Let me just move some things how they're supposed to be. And we're going to get into the show. Like I said, I have a really, really, really good show for you today. And yes, I am here. Nobody fear. LJ is here. I have a good show for you today, and I'm just making sure because I seem to be having issues still on YouTube. Are we good on YouTube? I just need to know. This is how you know this is live and real and not something fake, because we have these issues here. If I need to, I will restart one more time for the one time. Hopefully we don't have to. I'm just waiting for confirmation for YouTube. If not, we will try it one more time for the one time. Okay, fantastic. We are good. So we're going to keep chugging right along. I thank you guys for coming back. I'm getting different messages from the platforms telling me something different, but we are good. We are still live on YouTube. I think we are live on Facebook like we're supposed to be as well. Let me just check. And we're going to get right into it. I promise. I just want to make sure everything is good. Yeah, we are good everywhere. All right, fantastic. We're hopping right into it. So we have been put in a state of sleepiness. We've been put in a state of sleepiness. Thank you guys for popping in. I see you guys all joining in now. Thank you so much. Some things you don't change all at once, right? And some things shift slowly over time. And then you have a decision here, a policy there, a line that's used to be clear. What is, what isn't, and suddenly there isn't that line anymore. And if you're not paying attention overall to what's actually going on, it's all going to look like a bunch of noise. If you guys remember, some of us are older here, and you have those TVs when you have those channels that don't come in and it's all fuzzy and white noise is what some people call it. That's actually what it is that you're experiencing. When that line is removed, you start to have everything blur together and become one cohesive sound. But when you take a step back away from everything, you start to notice that some people are getting checked and some people aren't getting checked. And some people have pressure being applied to them, and some things have pressure being applied to them, and then other things don't have any of that happening at all, honestly. And it's kind of unnerving and annoying at the same time, because it's kind of like you're driving down the road and a state trooper pulls you over and you're like, oh, okay, I got my ticket. Then you're driving down the road doing 10 and 2, doing the right speed limit, and you see somebody zoom past you doing 20 miles over the speed limit and no state trooper in sight. It's like, why is it when I go 1 over, I'm busted, but when this person goes 20 over, it seems like the system is failing us, right? And it's hard to look at things, or anything for that matter, the same way ever again. So when we jump into the scripture for this particular segment comes from Proverbs chapter 11, verse 1. And it says, a false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. When the scale is balanced, things are good. But when the scale shifts out of balance, everything that is built on shifts along with it. In our first segment here today, we're going to talk about, if we can get it to shift over. There we go. Fantastic. Military powers, right? Because Congress, as you know it, likes to try to take power for themselves. And they finally have someone in office, whether you like him, love him, or hate him, that is pulling back away from that and taking the power back as it should have been all along, right? Well, he's getting help from the Senate. The Senate just made a huge decision, and it's one of those moments where you really have to stop and ponder and think about what it actually means, because a lot of people don't know what goes on in the government. They just think that the government does what it does. They live their life, they get their paychecks, they pay their bills, and everything's good. There's actually a lot more to it if you actually pull back the covers. You know, when you reveal that the Wizard of Oz is really a tiny person sitting on a stool, when you pull back that cover, you start to see things differently. And it's not just politically, even though it's in a political sphere. It's something that's structural. That, you know, if your house doesn't have good structure or good bones, as they used to say, then it's going to fall over, right? So what ultimately happened is that the United States Senate blocked a resolution that would have required Donald Trump to get congressional approval before taking military action against Cuba. What? Not Iran? Cuba? Yeah, Cuba. So the president basically has limited war powers, right? He can start a conflict, as they call, but only Congress can declare a war. And when Congress declares a war, it means that, hey, we're just going to financially back this situation. But it starts to get controversial when too many fires are in the pot, right? And my perspective from this is a little bit different than everybody else's, because you do realize, if you've been watching for any amount of time, that we talked about Cuba attacking a speedboat, taking the lives of several people and arresting several others that they injured, right? Well, apparently that didn't sit so hot with Trump, and now we got problems. And you see Trump trying to flex his power, and Congress is trying to rein him in. Well, at least one part of Congress is trying to, well, actually just one section of Congress is trying to rein him in. Not even one part of Congress. The Democrats, they're trying to rein him in. That's what they're trying to do. And we're not just talking about, when we talk about Cuba, we're not just talking about boots on the ground. We're talking about naval blockades, military positioning, and any action that could escalate into conflict. And I want you guys to take a step back. I really want you to take a step back and think about it. Cuba, it's an itty bitty little place, not very big, but it is a place nonetheless, right? And it's only 90 miles from Florida. That's the United States. Things don't always look like war at first, but they can quickly become it, right? Because tensions have been building up with many things going on with Cuba, but also Venezuela, which is in cahoots with Cuba, and all that. There's a bunch of partnerships that Donald Trump upset when he stepped into Venezuela, right? The United States has already been applying pressure to Cuba for many years, not just under Trump's administration, but many other presidents, right? Because they see the way they treat their people as inhumane, right? And at the same time, the country is still dealing with serious conflict dynamics in the Middle East, our country. We got an iron in this pot and an iron in this pot. Not necessarily a good thing, right? But we need to settle some things. This isn't happening for purposes of isolation, right? Because a lot of people are like, America's trying to isolate. That's not why these things are happening. We have to really look at the balancing of the scales, correct? Now, here's where things get a little bit more serious than what we've been used to. from a conservative standpoint, you don't just want Congress stepping in every single time the president of the United States, whoever they may be, makes a decision. And if they are doing that, then really there is no point for the presidential office at all, or the executive branch for that matter, because Congress is doing everything, which also wouldn't be good either, right? So you don't just want politics slowing down every response either. So you see for years, the Democrats and the Republicans both alike play politics every now and then to stop things or slow things down so they can make a new plan. The Democrats seem to be a little bit better at this game than the Republicans. You don't want the leadership being paralyzed either when action is needed. The whole point of what I'm saying to you is having a commander-in-chief doing what they're doing, and the whole point of having a commander-in-chief, but at the same time, having Congress doing what they're doing and having a Congress, they're not supposed to butt heads. They're not supposed to butt heads. And this doesn't mean that President Trump or any other president for that matter can run willy-nilly without oversight, because the Constitution was built to have shared responsibilities for that very reason. And without those shared responsibilities, you end up having someone running unbridled. We have had presidents that attempted that long ago, and they were put in check real quick, fast, in a hurry. But we also have had Congress run pretty unbridled when they take more power for themselves. And that leads me to something that's off topic but on topic. Every time you cry over something, Congress is going to try to make a law to make it a little bit better for you. And every time they make a law, they step on your rights. For example, there's a story floating around out there that I didn't talk about tonight, or am not going to talk about tonight, but I'll briefly mention it for the safety of people and drunk drivers and having people that are impaired driving. We're going to, as Congress, require every single vehicle on the road to have a system set up to where we can shut down their car. Yes, that's a, let me check it out. Hold on. I got the exact bill. It passed, by the way. I got the exact bill number. Give me 1 second. I'm going to grab that for you. So you can see what I see. So if you look up HR, House Resolution 7148, it passed. Anytime there's a cry from the people, the government is going to act, but only on their behalf. And anytime Congress is unchecked, they're going to take power from the other branches. So back to the topic at hand here. This is where the conversation starts to shift at, right? Because right now you're looking at a situation where the United States could potentially expand pressure, which is a good thing, right? But it's just 90 miles from America. And while we got heavy tensions all around the world because of what we're dealing with in Iran, we got a real problem here. We have a real problem here. So it is good to have oversight and checks and balances, but it is bad when those oversights and checks and balances try to overstep their roles. And that is what Congress has done for years, because we, me, you, and I, all of us who are watching we tend to just like turn a blind eye to it. Like, I don't want to hear about politics and I don't care about any of that. That's boring. I'm not going to read that 5,000 page bill, but then you lose your rights. For example, in 2024, Congress tried to slip in a bill, which thank God it was shut down. Thank God we had some people in Congress that had, half a wit about them. But Congress tried to slip in a bill that would allow those fighting for foreign militaries to receive the same benefits as our military. Americans who chose to go fight for another country, i.e. Israel, I'm just going to burst the bubble. It's Israel. That choose to go fight for Israel, these two congressmen believe that they should receive the same benefits as American military. That's what happens when you're not paying attention. They catch you with your pants down and they slip something in. And that's not good. But I'm not going to do that to you. I'm just going to give it to you raw, real, and straightforward and hit you with the truth out the gate. I have a video for you, which I was meaning to play before, but because of the hiccups, we got to where we are now. I have a video for you that I want you to check out. So here it is.
who's hell-bent on getting a nuclear weapon and get them to a point where they're at the table giving it up in a way that
So they
never have it.
So they haven't broken yet. Okay, we haven't gotten there yet for all of the.
Well, their nuclear facilities have been obliterated. Underground, they're buried, and we're watching them 24/7. So we know where any nuclear material
reclaiming
might be.
my time for
we're
a
watching
quick second here. We had to start this war, you just said, 60 days ago, because the nuclear weapon was an imminent threat. Now you're saying that it was completely obliterated?
They had not given up their nuclear ambitions, and they had a conventional shield of thousands of missiles.
So Operation Midnight Hammer accomplished nothing of substance. It left us at exactly the same place we were before. So much so
their
that
facilities
we had to start
were
a
bombed
war.
and obliterated. Their ambitions continued, and they're building a conventional shield.
All right, let me try again.
It's the North Korea strategy. You know this very well. The North Korea strategy was use conventional missiles to prevent anybody from challenging them so they could slow walk their way to a weapon. President Trump saw Iran at its weakest moment, took an action to ensure, in a way that only the United States of America could do with our Israeli partners,
and yet
to ensure their
conventional
shield was
right.
brought
one
to
other
field,
question,
we've done.
if I could get to it. So on you.
Okay. So we're going to have a teachable moment here to the people that are watching all over internet land. I looked up the word ambition. The word ambition is defined as such: a strong desire to do or achieve something, typically requiring determination and hard work. Now, we have been told for years, I've even played multiple supercuts of Benjamin Netanyahu saying they're very close. They're weeks away from having a nuclear weapon. They're months away. They're right around the corner from having a nuclear weapon. We, if you recall, June 22nd, 2025, which is the Operation Midnight is what they called it. I think to that effect. I don't know the full name of it, but we went and bombed. We got to watch some of these things happen, and we got to watch these beautiful planes fly back and land safely on the video. We watched them bomb these nuclear facilities. And Donald Trump, as Donald Trump does in his fashion, gets on national television and says, "We've done it. We've ended their program. We buried all of their facilities. They're done." To crush someone's ambitions, one would need to destroy the people that have the ambitions. Ambitions are not something you can touch, taste, feel, or any of that. It's an ideology. It's a thought process in your mind. And you just saw the Secretary of War with his pompous self sit right here. And I know I might sound like a liberal to some of you, but you heard what I heard. He didn't say they had the weapons. He didn't say they were close to having the weapons. He said they had ambitions. You can't stop someone's ambitions, especially when they're religious fanatics. These people are religious fanatics. They are compelled by their belief system. Doctrine of demons is what they fall under. Allah is a demon. I'm going to clarify that out the gate. But they're compelled by darkness and evil to continue this drive to do what they're doing. To snuff out the ambitions, Pete Hegseth, you have to snuff out the people. Are you willing to wipe out 2 billion people? Are you willing to do that, Pete Hegseth? Because what I just heard you say there in this video is that you don't care what it takes. As long as there are ambitions, we'll keep shooting. And I have another video that goes along with another segment here coming up later that we're going to partake of with another supercut of, well, not really a supercut, but a cut of Pete Hegseth telling us what it is. And I hope you stay tuned for that. That's going to be absolutely delicious. It's going to be absolutely delicious. But we're going to hop into our next segment before we get to the deliciousness, right? Our next segment here is called the Redistrict Hammer. We were speeding up. Now we're going to slow down a little bit, and then I'm going to pull you back in with the next story after this, because the next few stories all align real pretty like, and we're going to hit a home run, 460 over the fence with this one. So before we get to that, let's jump right into segment 2 here. Redistrict hammer, right? So the Supreme Court came in, as they often do, and they dropped the hammer. And they redrew the redrawn lines. That's what we'll call it like that. So, if you've been listening for any amount of time, that a lot of states are doing this and doing that and gerrymandering and redlining and redistricting and redrawing all these maps, because every 10 years, depending on what year it falls on for you, a state can redraw their lines. And it wasn't something that was political pomp and circumstance for many years, but now it has been, because now it's down to the wire, depending on who wins and who doesn't, right? But if you were listening back in 2024, which most weren't, Louisiana had its issue. And it kind of got swept under the rug, but I'm going to bring it back to your forefront so you can know what I know and go research on your own, because I don't want you to know what I know without looking for yourself, right? But this one is going to have national impact. It is, because they broke some federal laws with this one, right? So in 2024, to give you an idea of what happened, that a redraw was taking place. So in Louisiana, you have 6 major districts, right? And black people, yes, black people, this is about a little bit about race, but it's why the Supreme Court stepped in. Black people make up 1/3 of the total population of Louisiana. I keep wanting to say Illinois, but Louisiana. And they only had 1 district. So the people in there, they were like, hey, you guys are underrepresenting these people. You're underrepresenting all of these people. Ooh, the liberals and the leftists, they got to do what they do. The supporters of this said that the redraw would fix racial underrepresentation and finally reflect the state's population more fairly. While on the other side, the critics were like, hey, it uses race to heavily draw lines, and it creates oddly shaped districts, and its political engineering is disguised to help the Democrats. It's a facade to help the Democrats, but its facade was fairness, right? So ultimately what ends up happening here is these people have these lines redrawn and have these things set up in a certain manner to where the Democrats would benefit, because they were splitting hairs, essentially. So to say that there's political unfairness and the black people are underrepresented. Well, a bunch of non-black people stepped in and said, no, this is not how this should be. Let's fix this. Now, I will tell you that if the Democrats actually did what they were supposed to do and not use race, they probably would have got away with this. But because Democrats like to make show by pulling on the heartstrings of people with race and, gender and all this other weird stuff, this is why this is being overturned. The Supreme Court of the United States struck it down, saying that the congressional map wasn't right. And this was a 6-3 ruling, saying that the map ultimately was unconstitutional because it was a form of gerrymandering. Now, it's kind of funny because it's gerrymandering in reverse, right? And the Democrats cry wolf when you gerrymander one direction, but say it's okay to gerrymander in the other direction. It just doesn't work like that. Louisiana created the second black majority district by splitting the major black majority district into 2. And after that, pressure from the lower courts under the Voting Rights Act came up. And this is how this all got pushed up to the top. But a group of the voters challenged it ultimately and said, hey, this ain't right. You're arguing that the lines were drawn primarily around race, and that is a violation of the Civil Rights Act and many other acts, right? And it's not that the race thing wasn't what it was. It was the fact that the Democrats were trying to get more seats, just like all these other states are. Virginia's doing it. Florida's doing it. And because of this particular case right here, you're probably going to start seeing a lot of these other courts in these states say, hey, we got to hit the reverse button before this gets to the Supreme Court. Because when it gets to the Supreme Court, they are making a hard line, right? Whether it's a new hard line or an old hard line, like this particular Louisiana situation, they're making a hard line. And I'm hoping this story will soften the blows that I'm going to give here shortly. So please stick around because I'm about to wally nop. So this is like a palate cleanse right here with this particular story. But the court ended up agreeing, saying that race cannot be a controlling factor, even when the goal is representation. You can't use this to correct a wrong because you're correcting the wrong way. It's like having the right thing at the wrong time, essentially. But notice what is going on here. A lot of people look at this and say, hey, they made some changes. You can too. You can make changes too. These were just regular people who decided to say, hey, something looks wrong here and we should fix it. These people did it. You can do it too. If you don't believe you can do it, well, maybe you should try. If you see a wrong, you have the ability, according to the Constitution of the United States, for the United States of America, you have the right to petition your government for redress of grievances. You can do that through memorandums. And if there is a wrong that happened, you can do it through a affidavit. Legal means, go get it, fill it out, do it right, get it set up, go get it notarized and send it off. That's a legal means. You have several options to petition your government for redress of grievances. You could even go to your representative. If your representative isn't doing anything, you can set it up if you have enough gumption and unction to do so to where you can speak before Congress. If you do it right. And if you get enough people behind you, they can't not hear you. But they're not going to hear you with your picket fences and signs outside chanting things. They're not going to hear that. They can only hear paperwork. These people used their paperwork. This is why it's important to pay attention in civics class and pay attention to what the government's actually doing. Because if these people didn't do what they did, they would have gotten away with this. They would have gotten away with this and they would have stayed getting away with it for a very long time and nobody would have said a damn thing. It creates a divide ultimately, but this protects constitutional equality. We don't want equity, we want equality. All men are created equal. But equity tries to give a leg up. And if you let the Democrats or the Republicans have their way when they do these things like redraw lines, it causes a problem. Hell, we had a problem in North Carolina where the Democrats were up in arms because 10 years came up and the Republicans decided not to redraw the lines. Why did they not decide to redraw the lines? Well, there was no need to because everybody moved out of the areas that were affected by Democrat policies to red areas. So it gave them the upper hand. So where the red areas were down in the dumps last time, giving the Democrats the upper hand, it switched. It flipped on its head and it caused a problem. But hey, wait 10 years, you'll see what happens. But some of these situations are in dire need of correction, like Louisiana. Virginia is in dire need of correction. And there's some court things moving there. So I will give you updates on that when that comes. But we can't, as people of the United States, we the people, can't let these things just slide. And for too long, we have allowed Congress to slide on a lot, whether it's state Congress or federal Congress. We allow them to slide because why would we kick and buck against the system? That's what our jobs are. We are the checks and balance to the Congress. The court's not really going to check them. They only can check them if it's some law, some constitutionality. But we can check them, and not just by voting them in or out. If we really want them recalled, we can do it. You just have to get off your duff to do so. Otherwise, they'll just keep doing what they're doing, taking your freedoms, taking your rights, and you won't say a word. You'll just let it slide. Kind of how it's trying to slide with the next segment that we have here. And like I said, that was a palate cleanse. We're about to get into the fight. We're about to have a real good time. I'm about to knock some of you out with the truth, right? So this next segment is social mediagration. Yes, social mediagration. And I was going to go a specific way with this one, but I decided not to because I can give you the facts on this, which I will, but I'm going to give you my opinion more than fact on this because I think we might have like opinion on this. But the facts are the immigration system is now tightening up once again, but it's actually tightening up in a different manner. It's not tightening up in the courts. It's not tightening up in the actual processes. It's tightening up through social media. And it's not just about what you've done. It's about what you've said. Now, as I recall, the United States of America has freedom of speech, right? Now, some speech they're a little bit harder on. Like if you say you're going to take someone's life, they buck up at that, right? But not just any kind of freedom of speech, but the freedom of speech of talking about people. You know, I don't like so-and-so. I think they suck. That kind of thing, right? And what's happening with this ultimately is under a new guidance program, not a law, not a policy, code, or statute, but a new guidance program from the Department of Homeland Security, immigration officers are now being told to dig deeper into applicants' backgrounds. So these applicants are people that are doing it right, people that are actually going through the proper process, paying out the money, coming over here legally, not illegally, not breaking the law, to become citizens, green card holders, visa holders, work visas, or student visas. They want them to now look into these people's backgrounds, right? Into their social media background before they can immigrate here. Any form of immigration. That includes their social media, their public statements, their political activity before they can come here. Now, I'm about to start to slide slow into my opinion because I don't want to drop it on you yet, but I have a problem with that. What's being flagged is, according to their reports, certain views can now be treated as negative factors in decision-making on whether these people get into the country. Now, I'm going to rattle off some of these to you. Criticism of Israel. Support for Palestine and Palestinian causes. Participation in certain protests. Now I have the point in which I'm going to start sharing my opinion, right? I'm going to start giving you some of my opinion here. And because this pisses me off and this should piss you off too. America will let people in here that says, and I mean actually into our country, that say death to America. We'll let people in here. Hell, we will bring them over here, Barack Obama, Biden. We will bring them over here. And this is not just a Democrat thing. It's Republicans as well, because they sign off on some of this crap too. We will bring these people that say death to our president. We'll bring them over here. But if you say you're anti-Israel or don't support Israel or support people that are in opposition of Israel, you can't come here. When did this become Israel? As I see it, this is America, not Israel. This little soiree they got set up here will affect visa applicants, students, workers, people seeking residency, people seeking to become American. Now, it seems like this is not really affecting us because it's only people outside the country. But didn't we have Donald Trump? God bless him. I do support him, but I can call a spade a spade. Didn't Donald Trump try to set some anti-Semitic laws to prevent people from protesting a certain way on campus? And that was shot down real quick. And he made a quick course correction. Didn't he do that? Y'all recall when Donald Trump did that? That's not protecting Americans. That's protecting Jews. That's protecting people from Israel, not Americans. I have a problem with that. I have a problem. They try to spin it with their justification saying that it's about security, screening for extremism, filtering out threats, protecting American interest. Israel is not everyone's interest in America. So you're not protecting American interest, you're protecting the United States government interest. But why? because we shouldn't want people in our country that say death to America. We shouldn't want people in our country that will get in a vehicle, drive to Louisiana January 1st, 2025, and start causing havoc. We shouldn't have those people in America, but we do. We do. We let them in here. Ilhan Omar and her brusband having self, almost said some wordy dirts, in here. Huge supporter of Palestine. Huge supporter of Iran. What's going on? You got people in Congress, because she's not the only one, that support the very extremists that you say aren't allowed here because they're against Israel, not because they're against America, but they're in our Congress. That's the most oxymoronic thing I've ever seen in my life. As long as someone is not saying death to America or death to the American president, I don't care. They can come here. If they're going to do the proper process and go through all of the hoops that they need to get here, so be it. This is pro-America, not pro-Israel. Israel is not the 51st state. So why are we protecting a nation that isn't our nation and keeping people out of our nation that don't necessarily like that nation? Israel, by the way, Jews rather, have been kicked out of 107 countries. Look it up. It might be more than that now. They've been kicked out where they're barred from 107 countries. There's only 193, unless you include Palestine and the Holy See as two countries, which they do online. But there's only 193 countries. How are you kicked out of 107 of them, to my last recollection of looking up? It doesn't quite make sense. And don't think we're slowing down. We're speeding up here. We're speeding up because I have a problem that we can keep people out that hate or dislike or support something that is opposite of an ally of America, but we can let people in that want to blow us up. There's sleeper cells here. I wonder how many sleeper cells are in Israel. None. I wonder how many people that say death to America are kicked out of Israel. As I recall, Muslims can come in and out of Israel freely. But we got to keep people out that say, we don't like Israel. We don't like Jews. We're anti-Semitic. You're anti-Semitic if you don't like Muslims, by the way. Muslims are Arabic, which is one of the, Semitic languages, and they come from Abraham, which Jews come from Abraham. They are Semites who all come from Shem, if you want to do that. So linguistically and genealogically, they are Semites as well. So if you don't like Muslims and you don't like Jews, you're anti-Semite. But why is it that we're protecting one group and condemning another? And this is just anybody. This is anybody. This is a violation of freedom of speech, right? This is a free speech tension, because here's what makes it complicated. In this country, you can say a lot of things. You can protest, you can criticize, and you can speak freely against this country, against this country's leadership, against the things that this country does. You can do all of that. You can even have people that don't agree with you right here across from you having dialogue. But now it appears that if you don't support a specific demographic, a specific country that's not our country, you got to go. You might not get in. That would be a violation of and hypocritical of our own Constitution. So between security screening that they're doing and the viewpoint filtering, what country are we protecting? And deciding what kind of opinions are acceptable is kind of sort of playing a dangerous line, don't you think? How long before that slips over into start messing with we the people? Oh, not long, because they've already done it. Go online, say certain things, watch your content be removed. You'll get fought by some people over certain things you say. But death to America, sure. mosque in our country where they practice and pray to Allah, who says, kill the infidel, anyone that doesn't look like us, sound like us, talk like us, walk like us, believe like us, basically. And these people will play go along to get along, but we'll let them in here, sure. But can't say anything bad about Israel. We're going to slide right into the next segment because we're going to keep it moving. And we're going to go into the price of war. And while we are into the price of war, matter of fact, we're going to just jump right into the next video so you guys can get it as I'm going to give it to you, because I might go off the cuff on this one.
Do you know how much it will cost Americans in terms of their increased cost in gas and food over the next year because of the Iran war?
I would simply ask you what the cost is of an Iranian nuclear bomb.
I'm going to give you that opportunity.
I would simply ask you what you're playing gotcha questions about domestic things. I'm not.
You're saying it's a gotcha question to ask what it's going to be in terms of the increased cost.
Why won't you answer what it costs to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb?
I give you that, sir. But let me.
What would it cost? What would you pay to ensure Iran doesn't get a nuclear bomb? What would you pay?
I reclaim my time. Do you not know? You had no one do the analysis of what the increased cost of gas and food on the American people are going to be?
What is the cost of Iran holding that straight at issue with nuclear weapons?
It's $631 billion, which means it's an increase of $5,000 a year for American households. Now, let me give you this point. You're saying that your operation is preventing a nuclear Iran. Will you acknowledge that there is an economic cost to the American people for doing what you believe is necessary to make Iran denuclear? Will you acknowledge the economic cost?
We have an incredible economic team that's managing this better than what the previous administration did to our economy, what the previous administration did for inflation, what the previous administration did with COVID, and you're going to lecture this administration about the economy?
You know what is upsetting?
Incredible.
You didn't even do the analysis on how much it's costing the American people. It's one thing if you said, okay, it costs the American people $5,000, but we think it's worth it. That's what we've done in World War II and other wars. Here's what it costs. You got to pay for it. You don't even know what the average American is paying. You don't know what we paid in terms of the missiles that hit the Iranian school. You don't know what we're paying in terms of gas. You don't know what we're paying in terms of food. Your 25 billion number is totally off. It's the incompetence. It's the incompetence.
Yeah. I told you we're going to get back to Mr. Pete. I wouldn't put this man in the front of anyone to interview or to defend or anything. He folds like a wet paper towel under pressure. These are all simple questions. And what's crazy is the guy that's grilling him even gave him, hey, just say that you know the cost and that it's an acceptable thing, right? It's an acceptable thing because we want to prevent this from happening. And I would have been cool with that response. Would I have agreed with it? No, because earlier, when in the first video I showed, you said that, you're trying to destroy ambition, that there are no nukes. There's no nuclear enhancement, that you want to stop the ambition. Who is that for? Is that for us or for someone else? I can tell you for a fact, you can go to the government website, and I will probably put it in the comments here, or I will have one of my mods put it in the comments here. The link where they outright tell you on the government website that the war is for Israel, right? But that's not the problem. The problem is that you, Mr. Pete Hegseth, you, good sir, don't know the analysis and the cost. $25 billion. This man said it would be $630 billion to continue the way that they're going. This is someone that has sat down and crunched numbers. As an American, can you afford, and this is not me playing on emotions. This is not me playing on emotions because I hate to sound like a liberal, but I need to. Sometimes the liberals get it right. A broken clock is right twice a day, right? Sometimes they get it right. Really, it's only once a day because AM, PM, but a broken clock's at least right once, right? As an American, can you afford an additional $5,000 in taxes? We already have people, though Trump has done an excellent job at correcting the course of Joseph Robinette Biden and the economy that he was butchering, though he did a good job at fixing some things and getting a little bit of price here and a little bit of price there lower, Can you afford another $5,000 hit a year? I can't. Some people are living paycheck to paycheck. And the ones that aren't living paycheck to paycheck that are semi-decent well off, can you afford $5,000 extra a year? And it's not just 1 year, because we're still paying for the global war on terror. Because let me help you out. When we attack someone, after the war is said and done, there has to be reparations. Sorry, I apologize. Reparations. Because, restitution is for the singular individuals. Reparations for countries. We have to pay reparations. We did so with Germany. We did so with Japan. We did so with parts of China. Every time we hit someone or strike someone, we got to pay after it's all said and done. You're going to have to pay for that. You're going to have to pay for that. And this man, my issue is not even that we have to pay. My issue is that this man who is gung-ho for dropping bombs and doing all this other weird stuff, sir, you don't even know the cost. Oh, well, our economical team is doing a great job. Not if you don't know. Their job is to inform you so you can be prepared. And had you said, hey, we did this in other wars, I'm okay with it. Had you said that, it's worth it to make sure they don't have nuclear weapons ever. It's worth it. I would have been okay with that response. Again, I know better because you just want to destroy their ambition, aspirations, an ideology, a thought process. You want to destroy that. But you don't even know. This war, and I ain't even touched a segment yet. I haven't even jumped into any of the real information of this because the video speaks for itself. I could quit right now and the video speaks for itself. Right? The video speaks for itself. He told you everything you need to know. I don't know how much it's going to cost. And I will say this. The American people, let an American person start to go hungry, and enough of them go hungry. They about went crazy when they thought the trucks were going to stop during COVID, delivering food. They about went crazy then. What do you think would happen if these people no longer can afford it because they're being taxed out the wazoo, which Trump has talked about religiously about lowering taxes and the stroking at the ideology of getting rid of taxes altogether, or income taxes altogether for the people? What do you think would happen if people start to go hungry, can't pay their bills? Hell, if you live in North Carolina, Duke Energy keeps going up every other year, 18% here, 17% there, 24% there on their light bill. Some of us have $1,000 light bills, not because our lights are just running, it's because the percentages. So if you can't afford your light bill hardly now, what could you do with another $5,000 hit to your pockets? And that cost analysis that the gentleman was doing there was $5,000 per American taxpayer. Not $5,000 for all American taxpayers, but per. You can't afford it. You can't afford the cost of this war. And they say $25 billion. And if you recall earlier this year, they asked for $200 billion to make sure they could seek this thing just right. Did you know the federal government is still not open fully? It's only partially open. Did you know that your TSA is not getting paid still? The only reason the military is getting paid is because we're in this conflict. I don't have a problem with war. I don't have a problem with helping allies. I have a problem with it when it's a futile issue because we're chasing ambition. And I have a problem with it when Americans are losing their lives for that ambition while chasing it for another country. This benefits us not. Do you think cutting oil to China is going to stop China? No, they're just going to shift. If you were here last week, they're just going to shift and try to get a partner behind our backs while we're over here fighting. They're going to try to take Taiwan from us. You know, the very same Taiwan that makes the chips that make our boom booms go boom and our planes go vroom? Yeah. All those chips and our drones, yeah, they're trying to take them from us. And if China is successful for that, you can be damned to oil. We don't have the cutting edge technology anymore because we don't have the chips to make those things work anymore. And we won't be able to make new ones. So China, while we're over here playing in the sandbox, China is back behind our back playing 5D chess. Oh, we're going to cut the oil off to Russia and China. That's what some of the Republicans are saying. That's why we're doing it. We're setting the people free that are tormented. Those people over there have been tormented for years and by their own hands, really, because they could really turn the tides themselves. We won't be able to afford food. I am that much of America first. So much so it seems like I'm America only. Now, getting into this next segment, because like I said, I'm not even going to continue down that path. We're going to just jump right into the next segment because it makes sense. It's all going to come together like butt cheeks when we get into this next segment of the cracked signal. Now, I'm going to go off a cuff because I've overstayed my welcome here. And I think you guys get the point, but I got to hammer this last one in. Now, there was an intercepted message between North and South Korea, and North Korea, and if you recall to the first video where Pete Hegseth says it's the North Korea strategy where they use conventional missiles to keep you away while they slow play it to a weapon. North Korea has nuclear weapons. North Korea, because you know, one of the things that the Republicans say, Iran has been threatening us for years. They said they're going to do this. It's time we do something. North Korea has been threatening us for years too. Yeah. North Korea has been threatening us for years as well. Saying what they're going to do to us as well. It's not just Iran threatening us. It is also North Korea as well. You know, they call him the little rocket man. The little rocket man is what Trump coined him as, little rocket man. We're not worried about you, little rocket man. Well, little rocket man has nuclear weapons. Why aren't we attacking them? Little rocket man is now enriching uranium, weapons grade uranium. Little rocket man's doing that. Iran just has ambitions of doing this. And you know what's really cool? I've had many conversations with Republicans, and I'm just looking over here at some information real quick. Just give me a second. I've had several conversations with some Republicans that say we can't allow Iraq to get intercontinental missiles. Do you guys want to take a wild stab in the dark at who has intercontinental missiles already? Ballistics. They call them ICBMs. North Korea. Yeah, North Korea has intercontinental ballistic missiles, meaning that their missiles can reach here. Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, they don't have that. None of those countries that say death to America have that. But Rocket Man does. And this is all coming from nuclear intelligence and intercepted information. And two of the closest allies when it comes to North Korea are talking about it. It makes no sense to me. Well, it does make sense to me, but it doesn't at the same time. But I can see clearly because I'm not looking behind a facade. And I told you I was going to come at you hard this episode. But it makes no sense to me why people continue down this pathway believing these things, that it's not for Israel. We're not there for Israel. Well, we have another country that has said death to America, that has tried to use espionage and spying and counterintelligence to try to take America down from the inside, being North Korea. Iran does what they do. Similar antics and tactics, minus the fact that they will actually come over and blow themselves up. These people actually have these things. We're doing this for Israel. Don't get that mistaken. The government website says so. Pete Hegseth basically telling you so. without saying, he's saying the quiet part very quietly, but we can see because we can read between the lines, right? We have an enemy of North Korea that is well equipped, that can reach out and touch us. Nothing. We're going to attack Cuba while we're attacking Iran. We're stretched thin. And you know what happens when you get stretched thin or have too many fingers in too many pots? You get tired. Your guard gets let down. And people can just slip in and do what they want to do. Abraham Lincoln said that America, I think it was Abraham Lincoln, I'm pretty sure, I haven't researched it in a long time, said that America will never fall from within. Or was it George Washington? One of the presidents. America will never fall from within. Or from the outside. Sorry, my apologies. From the outside. But it will fall from within. What are we doing? What are we doing? America needs to come back to the America First agenda. Trump needs to come back to the America First agenda. Because what we're doing right now is not benefiting America. If you want to focus on Cuba, pull your resources from Iran, let Israel, the great intel, the great weapons makers, protect themselves. Fund them like we did Ukraine. Give them money, but come home. They have ambitions. North Korea has weapons and nuclear weapons and nuclear grade uranium at that. And they're mining more of it. Why are we still there? If we're worried about nukes and weapons of mass destruction and all this other weird stuff, China has it. Russia has it. North Korea has it. All of these are alleged enemies. Why are we in the Middle East in a sandbox? Oh, because they're terrorists and they'll use them. Rocket Man said he would use them. China likes to fire missiles over top of the Philippines and over top of Taiwan and get really close to the United States with nuclear submarines. Bet you didn't remember that. About it being 500 miles off the coast. Y'all forgot about that, right? Having a hypersonic missile come out of the water 500 miles away will be hard to hit. But America's so great. If America is as great as they say it is, and we have all this cutting edge technology like they say we do, which I do believe we do because I've seen some of these things, and we have amazing technology. Why are we worried about Iran who's 6,500 miles away? This great technology, we can pick these things off in the sky. Iran's not going to attack us nuclearly, even with their ambitions to do so. They're going to attack us on the ground from within. And we've let these people in that say death to America, but we keep the people that say we hate Israel out, or we don't like Israel. We support Palestine. We keep those people out. It seems like we're living in a bizarre world. And again, I don't personally blame Trump. I think he's being manipulated, just like Benjamin Netanyahu said in 99, the late 90s or early 2000s. He said that he can maneuver the Clintons as he sees fit. And he can maneuver the United States. 80% of America loves Israel. I'm not worried about America. I'm not worried about the UN. That's Benjamin Netanyahu's words, who's now currently the leader of Israel. So you guys have to, you have to be sober-minded. You can't look at this and just placate and just brush it off. This is serious. And we have the power to do stuff because clearly the government's not going to hold themselves accountable. Look at the Epstein list. Look at the people still walking free. You got to call it what it is. And you got to step up to the plate and do what you're supposed to. Our last thing we want to show here tonight is "Is this you?" tweet. Now, this gentleman that we're going to talk about here quickly and fast is I think he works for OAN or OANN, the news network, the one that's supposed to be super right-leaning. This guy's super right-leaning or whatever, and he's got a big following on all the social media platforms. Bro, is this you? Holy crap! You said 8647, you're a bad man. But didn't you say 86 Biden? 86-46? The Bible says that your words will testify against you. My man, your words are testifying against you here. And you're supposed to be a conservative. Now, a person like myself, I stand 10 toes down on everything I say. I'm not going to try to back off of anything I say. I say what I say and I mean what I say. If I'm wrong, I'll admit that I'm wrong and make the correction. But I'm never going to turn and say, I didn't say that. No. I also don't tweet stupid stuff like this gentleman. You see it, Mr. Jack. You're a moron. You're not intelligent. Is this you? Yes, it's you. Yes, it's you. But you won't care. You'll just brush it under the rug and move right on along and keep it moving because it's all copacetic, because the Republicans are going to forgive you. Conservatives are going to forgive you. You need to stop forgiving these people and hold them accountable, and then forgive them after you hold them accountable, because I'm pro-forgiveness. But forgiveness is for you, not them. But you got to hold these people accountable. You have to. And I'm wondering, have you ever noticed how some things get handled immediately, right? And other things just kind of sit there, like people tweeting stupid stuff? Yeah. Not everything moves the same, and things that should move a certain way don't. Some decisions get pushed fast, some get debated forever, and some get enforced way too hard. And then you have the stragglers that barely get touched, right? And at some point, you have to stop and look at the issue itself and say, hey, what's going on? You start watching how the things are handled, because that tells you more than the headline ever will, because the headline hides secrets. Got the headline Harrys and the headline readers, they hide secrets. Not what they say about certain things, but what they actually do. And once you start paying attention to these things, you realize the difference isn't always the situation. Yeah, sometimes it's something or someone who's actually involved. I just hope that you aren't one who misses the forest for the trees. I'll see you next Thursday.